a vast underground city beneath Egypt's iconic Giza Plateau, tens of thousands of years older than the pyramids themselves. That's the astonishing claim shaking the foundations of mainstream archaeology this week. If true, this discovery doesn't just shift a few dates on a timeline, it completely upends the story of human civilization as we know it. Presented by researchers from Italy, the findings describe colossal vertical wells and symmetrical chambers buried deep beneath the Khafra pyramid. These aren't simple tombs or natural caves, they're complex structures built thousands of feet underground. Using a special radar technique called SAR tomography, scientists were able to see through layers of rock. What they discovered looks more like something from a science fiction movie than ancient Egypt. Some experts believe this could change what we know about history, while others say it's nonsense. But the detailed shapes, spiral paths, massive rooms, and perfect patterns suggest something important is hidden deep below the pyramid. Chapter 1. What was discovered beneath Giza? Towering above the desert like ageless sentinels, the Giza pyramids have captivated scholars, travelers, and mystics for generations. Most archaeologists date the Khafra pyramid to around 2500 BCE, built as a monument to the pharaoh Khafre, grandson of the Great Pyramid's presumed builder, Khufu. Their design, alignment, and construction precision have long fueled speculation about their true origins and purpose. But what if these monuments were built not in isolation, but atop the ruins of a much older world? That's the revolutionary assertion made in a newly released study authored by Dr. Corrado Malanga of the University of Pisa and Filippo Biondi of the University of Strathclyde. The pair, using SAR tomography, scanned deep beneath the limestone platform where the Khafra pyramid rests. What they found shocked even them: a system of 5 identical multi-level architectural formations stretching beneath the 3 major pyramids. These weren't crude voids or cavities. The radar returns revealed carefully shaped rooms and corridors, branching out with mathematical precision. Chapter 2. The shape and scale of the unknown. At the heart of this labyrinth were 8 vertical wells, each over 30 feet in diameter, descending nearly 648 meters underground. Winding around each well were spiral pathways, possibly once stairs or sloped tunnels, wrapping down into the darkness like the coils of some ancient mechanical heart. At their base, these vertical shafts converge into 2 massive cube-shaped chambers, each measuring 80 meters by 80 meters, larger than the footprint of an Olympic stadium. These chambers appear completely isolated from modern Egyptian structures, buried under strata untouched for tens of millennia. Their symmetrical design, flawless geometry, and sheer scale suggest a technological capability no known ancient society possessed. The discovery didn't stop there. These wells, chambers, and passageways were all linked by what appeared to be intentionally constructed routes. Like arteries and veins in a living system, they connected nodes of some vast integrated design. Such an organization suggests not only an advanced culture, but one that likely possessed knowledge of geometry, engineering, and geology long before such concepts supposedly emerged in human history. That alone is enough to shock anyone. But what really blows people's minds is how old this whole setup might be. Imagine finding something built like a high-tech power station, only it was made way before humans were supposed to have any clue about that kind of stuff. Chapter 3. A civilization that shouldn't exist. Based on data modeling, mineral deposits, and interpreted texts from ancient Egyptian funerary literature, Malanga and Biondi suggest the underground city could be more than 38,000 years old. That's over 30,000 years before the Egyptian dynasties, and at least 29,000 years before historians believe any humans began forming anything close to what we consider a city. According to mainstream thought, humans in 36,000 BCE were still roaming in small nomadic bands, hunting, gathering, and just barely mastering fire. Cities didn't come into existence until around 9,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. Monumental architecture? Actually, that didn't arrive until much later. This is why experts like Professor Lawrence Conyers, a radar archaeologist at the University of Denver, aren't sold. People were mostly living in caves 38,000 years ago, he stated in an interview with dailymail.com. They didn't start building cities until much, much later. Chapter 4. A new purpose for the pyramids? Some believe that these underground structures weren't tombs at all. According to the Rees report, they might have been ancient machines, possibly designed to produce or channel energy. Maybe they used water, sound waves, or even natural vibrations. In that case, the pyramids weren't just monuments, they were giant stone tools sitting on top of an old energy grid. But here's where things get even more intriguing. Instead of being solely dedicated to the dead or built for Pharaoh's eternal rest, new research challenges the very foundation of that belief. Dr. Sarah Schrader from the University of Leiden analyzed skeletal remains found near some pyramid sites and made a surprising discovery. Her team found that the bones didn't match the profile of royalty or elites. Instead, they bore the marks of physical labor, worn joints, muscle stress markers, and signs of hard, repetitive work. According to her team, pyramid tombs, once thought to be the final resting place of the most elite, may have also included low-status, high-labor staff. So, were these workers buried here as part of a ritual, as a tribute, or because they were essential to the pyramid's actual function? If the pyramids weren't just tombs, but tools of energy or engineering, then maybe those buried there weren't just staff. They were part of the machine. Conyers, who wasn't involved in the study, labeled the idea outlandish. But even he admitted that the data retrieved via SAR was unusual, if not unprecedented. But what the data truly means is still unclear and open to different opinions. Now, what's backing this up? Believe it or not, a voice from the past is speaking up. Not just any voice, a very, very old one. Chapter 5. Textual Evidence. According to Malanga and Biondi, the ancient Egyptian text known as the Book of the Dead, specifically chapter 149, may contain cryptic references to this very underground system. The chapter speaks of 14 dwellings of the gods, guarded by divine entities, hidden from the eyes of mortals. Many have interpreted these as metaphorical or spiritual concepts. But what if they were architectural? Physical. Another old text called the Turin King List mentions the rule of divine beings and demigods who lived tens of thousands of years before Egypt's first known pharaohs. Many experts think these stories were made up or exaggerated. But some researchers think they could be real memories of a forgotten civilization that existed long before recorded history. These researchers believe a huge disaster, maybe a giant asteroid or a worldwide catastrophe, wiped out that civilization. The few who survived passed their knowledge down through stories, which slowly became myths. Thousands of years later, the civilization we now know as ancient Egypt may have risen on the ruins of that lost world, reusing its tools and ideas without fully understanding them. One reason this theory is so interesting is the strange similarity between the underground system and the pyramids built above it. The way the rooms are placed, the wells that go deep underground, and the perfect geometric designs seem to match. Could it be that the pyramids were built on purpose over this hidden system? Maybe to use its power or to keep something locked away? Most archaeologists have laughed at this idea in the past, but the new radar images are so strange that even some skeptics are starting to wonder. There is definitely something huge and man-made hidden beneath Giza. But as with any groundbreaking discovery, controversy isn't far behind. Chapter 6. Claims versus controversy. The moment these findings were made public, the academic world seemed to split in two. On one side stood the researchers, armed with cutting-edge radar data and bold assertions. They claimed their results were derived from objective, scientifically valid processes, namely Doppler tomography. This technique, which reconstructs underground imagery based on shifts in radar wave frequency, has been used in various fields from geology to planetary science. The researchers argued that its use in archaeological contexts could unearth buried truths hidden for millennia. Their scans revealed vertical shafts and architectural anomalies, the likes of which defy the established understanding of ancient Egyptian construction. With this data, they proposed the existence of a massive underground network, complete with chambers, stairways, and water systems, something that could not have been built without advanced knowledge and tools. However, Egypt's most renowned archaeologist, Dr. Zahi Hawass, quickly dismissed the study as entirely unscientific. In no uncertain terms, he called it fake, claiming that no such radar scans had ever been permitted or conducted inside the Khafra pyramid. For Hawass and many traditional Egyptologists, the entire premise was an affront to decades of methodical excavation and research. He pointed to gravimetry, muon tomography, and ground-penetrating radar studies that have long since mapped the pyramid's interiors, none of which have revealed anything even remotely resembling what Malanga and Biondi describe. Echoing Hawass's skepticism was Professor Lawrence Conyers, a respected radar expert. While more measured in his critique, Conyers raised important questions about the limits of current technology. He explained that scanning more than 2,000 feet below the ground is pushing the limits of what radar technology can really do right now. At that depth, radar signals can get distorted, especially in a place like Giza, where the ground is full of natural cracks and layers that make reading signals even harder. This could lead scientists to misunderstand what they're seeing. However, he didn't completely shut the idea down. He said that small underground structures, possibly used for rituals before the pyramids were built, could exist. He also mentioned that ancient civilizations like the Mayans often built their temples and monuments above sacred places, such as caves or underground springs. So it's possible the Egyptians did the same thing. The idea that the pyramids were built on top of something sacred or important is not impossible. That thought, that the Giza Plateau may have been sacred ground even before the pharaohs, breathes new life into the theory. If proven, it would mean that the Egyptians were not the originators, but the inheritors of a legacy far older and more mysterious than previously believed. But what if that tiny glimmer of hope turns out to be real? What then? Chapter 7. Potential historical implications. If the findings of Malanga and Biondi are ultimately validated through further peer-reviewed study and on-site confirmation, they could rewrite the foundation of human history as we know it. It would mean that advanced human civilization, capable of building huge structures and possibly having organized governments, existed much earlier than historians currently believe. This would challenge everything we've been taught about how and when humans became advanced. Instead of being a one-time wonder built by the ancient Egyptians, the Khafra pyramid could actually be sitting on top of an even older world, one that had knowledge of building and design that we are only just beginning to understand today. The Giza Plateau would then be more than a royal graveyard. It would be a massive historical puzzle with layers of forgotten cultures stacked on top of each other. In this new light, ancient Egypt might not have been the first great civilization, but one that found and used the remains of a lost, earlier one. They may have inherited the land, the buildings, and maybe even pieces of forgotten science and wisdom. If this is true, then our history books will need a major update. What we once thought was the beginning might actually be just the middle of a much older story. Yes, we're only starting to uncover what humanity might truly be capable of.